Hello and welcome back to the Novice Lumberjack, where in this episode I am going to give you my thoughts and answers on what two-stroke oil you should use in your chainsaw and outdoor equipment, two-stroke equipment. Now, you may not like these answers, but I get asked the question still on a pretty regular basis, what oil do you use? And I figured I just was on Chainsaw Addicts. It's a Facebook group that I like. I got a few of them. I like Chainsaw Repair. Chainsaws Repair is a different vibe, though. It's more to the point and good, solid questions and answers. A lot of good people to answer the questions. But I find a lot of questions, such as this two-stroke oil question, to be varied greatly with the answers across the board. Some people are so hardcore about this brand, and some are about this brand. This is the best. No, this is the best. Well, here's my answer. All right. If you are out there and you have the question, what kind of chainsaw two-stroke oil should you use? Here's my answer. And I'm not kidding when I say this. Anything. Any two-stroke oil made for that. Any two-stroke oil. I recommend you use it. That's it. That's my feelings. It doesn't fucking matter. Okay? Because if you're asking the question, then you're not out there running your saw at 8 hours a day. You're a regular homeowner user, and just grab something that's easy for you and use it. You'll be fine. Now, there are some hard no's in this category, and I will lay them out there. So I guess it's not anything, but for the most part it is. Okay, it is. But I will give you things that I think you should stay away from. Number one, I think you should stay away from, and I even still, I don't really care. But if you're wanting better stuff, stay away from the big brands of pre-mixed canned fuel. And by the big brands, I mean, what's that one? I usually have a can of it laying around because I'll insert a picture here of what I'm talking about. That one's kind of been known to be a little bit dicey. So that's it. But are you going to be fine with it? Yeah, you are. What's dicey about it is typically not the oil, it's the gas. The gas that's in there is what's dicey. So you get it, it's 6 or 7 months old, and it's gone bad. So there you go. So it's not really the oil that's in it as much as it's the gas. So let's break down some stuff that I have used in the past. Cheap shit. This is stuff that, you might find at Walmart or AutoZone or something, and it's just some two-stroke mix that, is cheap. All right? I've used it, and it works, right? Let's go ahead and maybe we can do this. What else? Lucas. I've used it. Guess what? It works. SuperTech. I've used it. Guess what it does? Works. ProMix. Something. Give me my glasses here. Let me see here. The One Mix. I've used it. It works. All right. Poland Pro. This is going old school. I've used it. It works. All right. I have not used this, but I have it. Would I hesitate to use something this old? No. The reason I haven't used it is because I do have good stuff. But if I was out and I saw this laying around, would I use it? Yes, I would. Because it would work. All right. What I am fixing to try out for the first time ever, at least in this. I've used this in my dirt bikes and stuff, and you know what it does? It works. All right, but this is the Honda HP2. Basically, I want to know if it smells good. Richard Flagg has a really nice video series out about two strokes, what is better and what is not as good. This was at the top of the list. I want to try it out. Why? Because I want my saw to last as long as possible? No, because I just want to try it out. All right. What I normally recommend is Red Armor. Why do I recommend Red Armor if I don't care and I'm saying anything's going to work for you? All right. Because Red Armor is known to be good and it is easily found at local Home Depot stores. So, yeah, this right here is my number one recommended stuff because it's easy. You can go get it and use it. Now, I have only used, wait a minute, let me throw another one in there. One of the creme de la creme oils that I enjoy is, the brand name is Maxima, but you don't really know it as Maxima. You know it as Castor 927. Again, I'll add an image. All right, Castor 927 has been used by me in a gajillion gallons of fuel because I used to ride a lot of dirt bikes and two-stroke four-wheelers and stuff like that, you know, and it smells amazing. I love it. I love the smell of it. It's called Castor 927 because it's derived largely from the castor bean, and that's why it's also referred to as a bean oil or beanol, right? It is a bean oil, and I like the way it smells. What's it doing in my engine? It does produce an amount of carbon more than, say, something like this, and definitely, you know, that I know of for sure, something like this, you know. But who cares? It don't matter. It don't matter, okay? There's only been one oil that I have ever ran that I can directly assume caused my engine, allowed my engine to fail. And that is Stihl Ultra. This right here, I think, is the worst oil on the market. Okay? Yeah, a lot of you guys, you're like, I've ran it for years. Good for you. What that tells me is you have your carburetor set up flawlessly, and you also run a good sharp chain, and your heat is able to escape the saw. So maybe you just simply have a saw that's not so bound up with the muffler or something, you know. Because what I found with this stuff is, yeah, it'll work. It'll work for years and years, decades for you. Okay, it will work. But if you get in a hard spot where you need added extra protection, this fails you. So I don't recommend anyone to buy this. That is trash. You can see it if you, and I talk about the carbon buildup. My God, it's the worst. The carbon buildup clogs the screens. If somebody sends me a saw that they've been running this stuff in, you know it right away because the exhaust, whenever I have to port the exhaust, my frickin' my bits for porting clog up immediately. I mean, immediately. They just clog up. They get saturated with this gummy black shit. So, hard no on this. However, is it going to make your saw blow up? No. As long as your carb is set properly and you know how to tune your carburetor right, it's good. And again, you guys will say, I haven't touched my carburetor. Well, good. It was set right for you in the beginning. So, you know, at some point, enough of these videos saying that this stuff is shit is going to come out that you guys that are hardcore users of this stuff are going to have to admit that you've been living in a bubble and it's actually worked out for you, not because it's good, but because your specific situation is just right. You've got that saw running good. You don't overheat that saw by having a dull chain on it or, you know, working it too hard. You know, something is going on with your situation, this is the worst oil that you can possibly get that's out there for use in your chainsaws that's on the market. It's trash. So, anyways, the rest of the stuff, why is it all fine? Because if you're asking the question, you're an amateur anyways, and you're not running that much. All right? I don't love, but I get the comedy of somebody that joins a residential tree crew and immediately thinks that they're a professional. Sorry, this is going to be a slap in the face to a lot of guys out there. I get it. Just because you get paid to do something doesn't mean you're a pro. Okay? Just no. But all of it is going to be good enough for the average guy, for sure. And if you're above average, you've already figured this out, and you've got the brand that you like, and you use it. So go for it. But even still, like, will this work for a professional user, like a truly professional user that's going out and falling and falling and falling? Probably. It's fine. It's fine. What you're going to find out is little differences that you are either prone to be okay with or not. And that is going to be things such as the carbon buildup. Okay, is the carbon buildup going to ruin your saw? Not immediately, but over the long term, yeah. Carbon buildup in the exhaust ports and on the piston itself will eventually put scoring on your piston / cylinder. But we're talking, that's a lot of use down the road. Okay, so for the most part, if you go into a store in 2024 and you pick up anything that is labeled 2-cycle oil mix, you're going to be fine. Mix it at 40-1. I don't fucking care what any kind of recommendations say. All right? Well, it says to run it at 50-1. Okay, run it at 50-1, guy. All right? I think 40-1 is better. All right? You get a little bit more oil in there. It coats your bottom end better. And I like 40-1 better. I don't give a shit what the manufacturer says to run it at. 40-1. Same thing goes with chainsaws that are older, right? Like say an old McCulloch, right? And it says right on the gas tank, 16-1 oil mix. I don't care. Run it at 40-1, people. I've read so many things about people saying that they're going, it says 16-1, so I run it at 16-1. Yeah, jackass, it says 16-1 because whenever that was made in 1965, they were using regular old motor oil. I seen my uncle do it. Bloop, 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 bloop. He's pouring, and I can remember I said, because I had a little moped. I was a little kid, I was like 8 years old, and I had a little moped that I scooted all around the dirt roads of Kentucky on. I rode the shit out of that thing. I wasn't even tall enough to sit on the seat and touch the foot pegs. I had to stand on the foot pegs, and the back of the seat the front of the seat was poking me in the back. That's how little I was. I was riding it everywhere. And it was a 2-stroke, right? It was a Honda Express. And it had a wind-up Kickstarter. You would go, dink, and it'd go, and it would turn on. It literally winded up like a clock. It was awesome. I loved that little thing. Rode it everywhere. But I knew about 2-stroke oils, right? And I saw him mixing up some 2-stroke oil for a 3-wheeler. And I was like, Dennis, that's regular motor oil. That's not supposed to go in your gas. And he goes, he always had a big chew of tobacco. He's like, It'll be fine. We just got to add a little bit more of it. He's dumping it in. So back then, whenever it said 16 to 1, some of them were even more than that. I think I've heard tales of 12 to 1. I think. But anyway, the point is they were using regular motor oil. Oftentimes you couldn't find, or it didn't even exist, a two-stroke specific grade of motor oil. And then throughout the years, they got better and better. They went to 20 to 1. They went to 32 to 1, right? And, there's a lot of people out there still like to run 32 to 1. Hey, if you want to run that, you run that. But you're watching this video looking for my opinion. My opinion is you're wasting. 40 to 1 is the dream mixture to me. Like I said, you're watching my video, so you get my answers. 40 to 1, pretty much anything you want. If you would like to go out there and get something that you know is really good and really well recommended, I'm going to recommend this. But if you also want to step up and do some of the motorcycle oils, like the Caster 927, it'll work just fine, right? It smells great. Get it. Still, 40 to 1 on everything. 40 to 1, 40 to 1, 40 to 1. I don't care what you're mixing, I'm recommending 40 to 1. Now, I know that there's going to be a lot of stuff out there. They say, well, this one recommends 100 to 1. I don't care. I would not do that. I run 40 to 1. Now, you can have success stories and have something different than me. I do not know everything in the world. I'm okay with that. There are questions that I don't have the answers for, and I'm okay with that too. I don't need to search and find an answer for every question that there is, okay? This is my channel, and this is what I'm telling you. You're going to be fine with anything. Just put it in there. Just put it in there. I've even ran marine two-stroke oil. Now, again, that's one of those that I would say I don't recommend doing it, right? Marine or outboard two-stroke oil is typically made for an injector, okay? So it's going to be thinner so that it can get through the injector, okay? Will it work? Yep, I've done it. So I've got it, and I went, hey, wait a minute, this one says it's for outboard motors. Well, it's all I got, so glug, 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 glug. Yeah, so like I said, I wouldn't recommend doing that. Look on the label. If it says it's for outdoor tools or just two-stroke to be mixed with gasoline, you're going to be fine. The more you use stuff, then you'll find out that you have your favorites that you like because of some reason or another. Like I said, with the carbon buildup, you might find that the stuff that you get at Ace Hardware, in their garden tool aisle or something, it clogs up the screen. You go, hey, try a different oil. It'll be fine. Try a different oil, clean out that screen, try a different oil, and see if that gums up the screen in your exhaust, but what I have, so I'm 47 years old now, and what I'm giving you is my experience with two-stroke oil since I was probably about 6 years old. So since the age of 6, so 41 years of experience tells me it don't fucking matter. As long as you're buying something that says two-stroke oil and you're mixing it at 40 to 1 mixture, you're going to be fine. And if that engine fails, it's because of something else. It's because of you not having the mixture on the carb set right. It could be because you pushed it too hard because you overheated it. Running with a dull chain is probably the number one way of people blow up their chainsaw. They have a dull chain on it, and they keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And when you do that, two things happen. One, the saw works really hard, and it gets overheated because a cut that should take 20 seconds is now taking 60. All right, there's your number one reason. You're just working it too hard, and it doesn't have a chance to sit down and cool off and throw air over the cylinder without all this pressure being put on it. Number two reason is the bar itself gets hot. Right? Because you're pushing so hard. That bar is getting hot. And that heat transfers back into your crankcase and makes your engine, which is already overheating, makes it overheat even more. And so learn how to operate your chainsaw. And oil's it's not an issue. You run whatever you want. Now, do I like running good oils? Yes. All this stuff has dirt on it for a reason. And that is because it has sat unused, all right, for years, okay? But I didn't stop using it because I had a bad experience and it blew up my saw. Oh, no, I stopped using it because I watched this video or that video and I said, I want to give that a try. And that's it. The only time I have ever used a two-stroke oil and blown up my engine because of that oil not offering enough protection comes from Stihl. Now, people will still want to buck this and say, oh no, how do you know? How do you know? Well, technically, I guess I don't. But I feel completely confident that had I been running something that offered better protection, that saw wouldn't have blown up. All right? It's just my thing. All right? But because I do recommend, with all this preaching that I'm saying that it doesn't matter, I do recommend that you pick a good oil. There's lots of them out there. There's Sabre, which I think is made by Amsoil. I've never ran it, but I've seen enough about it. I know it's good. Bel Ray, Motul, what is that one stuff that comes in the little tubes? I have some laying here. Stens, right? I have sent this by Pat. I did use it, and it just worked like it was oil. It was oil. But yeah, stuff like this, you can use this. My point is anything's going to be acceptable. However, if you want to make sure that you've got the better protection, buy one of the better oils, okay? What buying one of the better oils does for you is it allows you to tune a saw a little bit longer. See what I'm saying? Like, I've got so many saws, and they're across the board. Some of them are perfect. Some of them never quite ran right, stuff like that. Well, let's say I've got an air leak in one, and I can try and tune past it. As long as it's not real bad, a real bad air leak, you can sit there and tune past it and get it to run right, and then you got to tune it a little bit more and stuff like that. Well, a good oil will protect your saw longer while you're in that shitty situation until finally you figure out, oh crap, something's wrong here. Whereas a bad oil, right? You get an air leak and you're like, I think I can tune past it. And you go, and before you know it, you blow up your saw, right? A good oil will allow you, because it offers more protection. I mean, look at Richard Flagg's videos, all right? The way that oil clings to it and it just stays on the surface of the piston and the crankshaft and the bearings and everything, it's just mind-blowingly obvious, right? You open it up and you got this stuff you've been using and it's dry as a bone. So a good oil is useful, and I do recommend it, even though in this video I've harped on use whatever the hell you want, it's going to be fine. Whenever the shit happens and you're in a situation where you could potentially damage that saw, good oil will protect it for a little bit longer until you find where the air leak is. Good oil will protect it from that extra heat, and you may blow it up, but all you have is a little bit of aluminum transfer to the cylinder that can easily come off, and you can reuse that cylinder. Whereas bad oil digs out trenches in your cylinder. And now not only do you have to buy a new piston and ring setup, but you also have to buy a new cylinder. And if you've got Stihl, look out and shout, because that shit ain't cheap. Try pricing a brand new piston and cylinder for an MS462. They're expensive. They're really, really expensive. And a lot of people believe that is why Stihl wants to use this, because it will work. And 9 times out of 10, or hell, 99 out of 100, it'll get you to the warranty. But then something goes sideways and it breaks, and you bring it back in and you fork out $500 or more for a rebuild. Planned obsolescence. And so, yeah. Will it work? Yeah, but whenever the shit hits the fan, not only is it going to fail you, it's going to fail in a very big way. Whereas some of these others would probably be, just a simple, okay, you got to clean up that cylinder with a little sandpaper, put it back together with a new piston. You're fine. It's the difference between, maybe an $80 piston and a little bit of elbow work versus an $80 piston and a $400 cylinder. So I do recommend good oil. I just kind of wish people take it easy. It ain't that big of a deal.